essence of the disease.
That's right. That's right.
So then that creates
for January 18th, 2024. It's great to see everybody, including Councilmember Gant, who is here with us tonight. We have a pretty full agenda, so let's begin. Okay, so our first agenda item is the approval of the October 2023 meeting minutes, which was just a statement that the meeting has been canceled. Is there a motion to approve that statement?
I'll approve that.
Okay, Jason?
I'll second.
John, second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Motion carries. The next item is the November 2023 meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I move the minutes be approved.
Okay, John, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Okay, the December 2023 meeting, that also was a statement that the meeting had been canceled. Is there a motion to approve that?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, Bill, okay, is there a second?
I second.
Sean?
Let Sean.
Okay, Sean seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, next up, announcements. Do we have any announcements from town staff? No announcements?
Not tonight.
Okay, thank you. Okay, jumping ahead, rezoning case reviews. First one up is Center City Townhomes, and Ms. Keenan Condor with the Morningstar Law Group.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming here today to hear our presentation of this rezoning case. And for some of you, this may be a little bit of deja vu because this case, in essence, basically in the form it is in today, was presented to you previously in November of 2022. The significant difference between what was presented over a year ago and what's being presented today is the addition of one new parcel. Being that parcel in the middle. And if you remember, about a year ago, we presented this case, this rezoning, and the project was to provide about 30 townhome units at this site. Since then, we have worked with this middle parcel owner who has a commercial use at that property, and they've decided to join with us in our rezoning project. So the residential component has not changed. The design is still 30 or fewer townhouse units, but now we're including this commercial use. The hope is that we can preserve that building where that commercial use is, but physically move it to the east somewhat. And that is really the essence of the project, and that is the only difference from what was presented over a year ago. But we're very excited. I think this creates a much more a cleaner look from the street now that we're including the donut hole, including all the properties right here, that front center street, and create a more cogent plan overall. Again, as I said, the project is 30 or fewer townhomes plus that commercial use. The requested zoning previously was just HDMF CZ, but now that we're adding a commercial use, we're going to add that commercial zoning district as well.
Where would that commercial zoning district be?
On the east side of those properties.
Is it
So there will be a line.
delineated on here or?
It is not. These are the existing property lines.
Right.
But generally, let's say the western 2/3 would be townhome units, and the eastern portion would be the commercial use. So as you can see right now, that commercial use is dead center in the center. That will be physically moving to be in the commercial side. So closer to the church that is on your east side. And we hope that these townhomes will be very complementary to what you see already on this photo. You have townhomes on the west side. You also have townhomes across the street as well. So really, we hope this will be complementary to what is already there. And now you'll have the commercial use abutting the church. where it seems to make most sense. So we,
Are
excuse
you
me,
just moving the building, or is it, are there gonna be new buildings for the commercial?
not for the commercial, for,
You're just gonna move it?
right, for now. That's our idea for now, but it will be a commercial use. We are adding a condition, I don't think it was included in your packet because it was a condition added after our most recent rezoning submittal that just said if the commercial use was demolished, what would go there, the commercial use that would go there would follow the planning department's suggestions for what that building should look like. But for now, the plan is to keep the building.
How many square foot is that building?
It's about 1,200 square feet.
Oh,
And this, for
It's
those
very
that,
small.
and for those that don't know, this is Jeff Roach, our team engineer, and I'm sure most of you actually do know him. But,
What was the use of the building previously?
do you know Jeff? Yeah, I'll let you come up.
Sorry, it's easier to come up and talk. Jeff Roach, Peak Engineering and Design. The existing zoning for the property is residential. The existing use of the property, Shelley, is,
It's currently an office professional use. There's a small software company that works out of the building at the moment, is my understanding.
correct. I didn't want to say that, so.
Yeah, the reason why I asked was if there was any sort of industrial type of activity.
No, it's really the, and Keenan hit all the high points. As you know, I've been working on this for a year and a half. So I know a little bit more than Keenan on this, but yeah, the idea was we worked for 9 months with the owner to try to acquire that donut hole. And now that we've acquired it, we're back in front of you guys, same exact environmental conditions as a year ago. And really it just picks up that one piece, and we're gonna slide that building east, rezone him to O&I, and then to keep the other part as a townhome residential. So Keenan hit it all. So, good question.
Thank you.
So I think that middle parcel owner certainly has a benefit being able to move into this O&I district. I'll leave it there.
That makes sense, yeah.
But moving along, these are the zoning conditions. There's a list, a much larger list of zoning conditions, but these are the ones that deal specifically with the environment. And these were adopted after our last EAB meeting in 2022. So it is our hope, since we worked with these conditions, worked to produce these conditions after that last meeting, that because the residential component of our project isn't changing, that we're going to continue with these conditions. However, we are open-minded to hearing suggestions, but that is the project team's stance right now.
Can you go through the most important ones with us, please? Just take us through them.
Which we think is the most important? Which ones do you think are the most? I don't want to. I think some of the exciting things, I think, are the first one, of course, and I'm not just saying that because it's the first one.
We just can't read it from here.
Oh, excuse me. Let's see if I can.
I don't think you can blow it up enough. To be honest.
So, can these be transferred onto our standard form so that can sort of move forward with?
He does have it.
We
in-
actually do have
He's
them.
got it in
Is
his
it?
plan.
Okay.
Yeah, it just was put like this so that it was easier to present. But we do have a copy of the form on file with the rezoning.
Okay, thank you.
But going through, I think the most important, I think, would be the first one, post-development peak runoff shall not exceed pre-development peak runoff for the 24-hour, 1-year, 10-year, and 25-year storm events in accordance with the UDO.
So what is required for this property? Which level of
This is
storm?
10-year or 25-year?
Just the one in the 10.
Okay.
Okay.
And I believe most of these are based on the typical EAB suggestions.
Right.
And so we chose from among the list which ones we thought we could deliver.
Right.
We tried to do as best we could to deliver as many as we could.
Can you run through them then? I cannot read it. I'm happy with the runoff situation, but
And I'll just read them word for word then. No clearing or land disturbance shall be permitted within the riparian buffer, except the minimum necessary to install required sewer infrastructure and SCM outlets. Excuse me?
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you actually have a stream feature on your property?
No.
No. So could you all remove that because it's not relevant?
We left it in there. We haven't had the environmental call, but we don't anticipate there being any
Okay.
buffers. So we left it in there in the event that the environmental consultant
find something.
Okay, but,
That's why it's there. And it's a standard. We do it with all of our zoning.
okay,
Good.
So if it's okay with you, we'd like to leave it. Just
okay.
So that was number 2. Number 3, the project shall install 1 sign per SCM to reduce pet waste and prohibit fertilizer in locations that are publicly accessible, such as adjacent to amenity centers, sidewalks, greenways, or side paths. The project shall install at least 2 pet waste stations throughout the community in locations that are publicly accessible, such as adjacent to amenity centers, SEM, sidewalks, greenways, or side paths. Deciduous shade trees shall be planted on the southern side of buildings. The project shall select and install tree, shrub, and perennial species with special attention to providing diverse and abundant pollinator and bird food sources, including plants that bloom in succession from spring to fall. Of the vegetation on the assemblage, 75% will be native vegetation. To reduce irrigation requirements, the project shall select and plant only warm season grasses. A minimum of 3 hardwood tree species shall be used for the landscaping on site. All homes shall be pre-configured with conduit for a solar energy system. And we will include International Dark Sky Association compliance standards. Outdoor lighting shall be shielded in a way that focuses lighting to the ground. Lighting that minimizes the emission of blue light to reduce glare shall be used. And finally, lighting with a color temperature of 3000 Kelvin or less shall be used for outside installations, and a color temperature of 3000 Kelvin or less shall be used for outside. I lost the last word of that, but I think it says installations.
Yeah. Since you were before us, the town has implemented a new lighting standard, section 8.6. To the extent that it would be applicable to this property, are you willing to reflect those new standards?
So I think our position today is that we hope to continue with the standards we've already accepted, but we are open-minded. We can reflect on those standards and have a team meeting and see if those are something we'd be willing to adopt. But for today, per our last discussion, we felt very confident and very proud of the conditions we've offered here.
Just as a quick clarification, the UDO is requirement once you submit your site or subdivision plan, regardless of when your zoning application came in. So as to the extent that it actually affects this particular development, whether, and I'm not certain whether there'll be single family townhomes, et cetera, they will be required to meet all of those standards in 8.6.
Okay.
Excuse me, of course.
Are we in the recommendation?
Well,
phase?
I have a few more questions.
Okay, good, thank you.
Is there gonna be any EV charging associated with the office component?
I'll let you come up.
For the ordinance, it's too small.
Okay.
It's only required to have 6 parking spaces, so it's not required.
And what about the townhomes? Are they gonna have garages, or like if somebody had?
Probably not, probably surface parking.
And,
The goal is to match what's to the west, which is the groves,
okay,
and they have all surface parking and no EV charging stations.
so this would not have any EV charging
Correct.
stations
We don't
involved?
currently plan on it.
Okay,
It's something that we'll talk to the builder about. The developer right now is the one that we're working for, and if he sees or the builder sees the benefit to Adam, we'll work with him to Adam.
okay, but otherwise, the residences would just have like a plug on the front and they would like
That's
run that across the sidewalk to their vehicles?
That's correct.
Okay.
I had a question. To the old homes that are being demolished, were there any environmental concerns noted on those sites? Old UST gas tanks or cars laying around, oil spills, that kind of thing? Or is it all kind of?
Not that I'm aware of. Are you aware of any, Jeff? You can. Yeah.
Sorry.
He has a great familiarity with the site, obviously.
They're doing their environmental evaluation of the existing structures, asbestos, underground storage tanks. They're doing all that now, especially with the house that's going to move. If it's moving, it's got asbestos in it, they need to abate it before they do anything. So it will be required. They haven't done it quite yet, though. But good question.
Does this project require any RCA?
It does.
And where do you envision that going?
Western buffer, northern 30-foot buffer that's along Center Street,
Along the south, there was a buffer up against the industrial, and on the east side, there was also a buffer. There's also an area that is where the existing house sits now, that will be kind of an open space dead area, that will most likely be the RCA, and part of the pond, SCM will count as well.
Okay, so that will be, so I noticed to the south and west, there was some existing RCA for a different development, so yours will be adjacent to that?
That southwest corner is kind of a weird little area for us, because we're having to make a street turn.
Okay,
So it'll probably be a small pocket in that southwest corner as well, up against the groves.
okay. So you'll have, I'm trying to envision the contiguousness of it.
So the plan is that we have to align with Myrtle Grove right here. This will be the main entrance, the only entrance into the project. The current plan is for the road to come down, have a T intersection here that will stub to the east to the existing church property. It's also where we're getting the sewer from. That public street will then continue west, make a 90-degree turn to the north to a cul-de-sac here, and you'll end up with townhomes backing up against the Groves townhomes. You'll end up with townhomes backing up against the storage facility to the south. You'll have a couple townhomes in this area, and that building will slide east to about right here.
Okay,
So what will happen is you'll enter off of Center Street, most likely come down and loop around to the parking lot, and I'm trying to make the movement here with the cursor. I don't know if you guys can
yeah.
see
We
that.
can see it, yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
good,
Very
good.
helpful, thank you.
The idea was to try to figure out where to put the entrance to the commercial component. The office, if that's building sitting here, the parking will be behind it. So you have the building up against Center Street with the parking behind it, which everybody loves. That's kind of the idea. And that's where it opens up the perimeter buffers here for RCA, southwest and the south, as well as the eastern boundary for RCA. We're dedicating right of way per the town's transportation plan. We're also reserving the 30-foot RCA buffer that's required along the street. And we anticipate that DOT will come back at some point if they ever decide, hey, we're ready to widen Center Street. That 30-foot buffer is sitting there waiting for DOT to take some of it in the future. It could be 2 years, it could be 20 years, we don't know. So we're looking forward to prep the site for any future Center Street widening as well.
Okay, thank you. So are you preserving any of the existing canopy, or do you anticipate taking it all out and replanting the buffers?
Well, we can't go into the buffers. They are preserved as per the ordinance. So all these buffers, if there are existing vegetation in it, will remain. Same thing, that's all four sides. Really, the only area that has any significant vegetation is right here, and unfortunately, it's sitting right where the public street has to go through. So, and then the SCM is going to sit down in this corner. So, unfortunately, the one area that there's trees will most likely not be able to remain. But we say trees, we're talking mainly smaller pines. We have some larger trees around the perimeter, and as we finish up our survey up in this northwest corner, those are the trees we're going to be looking at to say, can we save any?
Okay, but down in that southwest corner, those are not mature trees?
In the RCA area,
They are.
yeah, in this back corner. There's a couple that are decent sized through here, but again, like you can see the shadow for this one.
Yeah.
That's probably a removal simply because of location. But part of the survey requirement is to pick up all the existing vegetation, the large trees, to see if any are in a location we can work around, or if they're removals. So, and we do it with every site, not just this one. So,
Okay, thank you. Very good.
Before you sit down, what type buffer are you required to do along Center Street?
I believe it's a 30-foot type B.
B.
B as in boy, yes. Shelley, I believe that's correct. I think that's typical.
That's
I think
correct.
that's standard. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure.
Yep. You were just testing me.
I was hoping for A.
Any further questions or discussion?
I have a recommendation or two on the solar thing, and I know we've been here before, but I'd recommend a solar PV system of at least 4 kilowatts shall be installed on at least 4 of the townhomes within the development. That's just a little over 10%, depending on what you end up with. The second one is the CC&Rs for the townhomes shall explicitly permit individual homeowners to install solar PV systems on the rooftop associated with their home. I know people that are in townhome developments have trouble if they want to put that on there, and I think that needs to be in there specifically.
They shouldn't have that problem, but yeah.
Okay. So.
That's my recommendation there.
Okay.
I can't recommend 222 40 volt in the garages if they don't exist, unfortunately.
Okay. Board, would the board like to add those as well? Is everybody okay with adding those? Any more discussion about them?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Thank
Okay.
you.
That works for us.
Okay, is there a motion to approve what they presented as well as the 2 additions by Mr. Jensen?
I will so move.
Okay, Katie, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Jason, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you very much. for your
Thank you, everyone.
testimony.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have 1405 and 1407 Zeno Road. Jennifer Ashton, Longleaf Law Partners.
Yours was an Adobe file. Nope. It is open.
It's open? I lost my taskbar at the bottom. I can't find it.
Yeah, you have to hold it. Something very strange. You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jennifer Ashton with Longleaf Law Partners. I'm a land use attorney here today on behalf of the developer of these 2 parcels, 1405 and 1407 Zeno Road. And I'm also joined by Ryan Fisher, who's our civil for this project. So we'll go ahead and get started. The 2 parcels together are 3.08 acres. Current uses are single-family residential. There's 2 existing single-family homes, 1 on each of the parcels. We have frontage along Zeno Road, and our current zoning is residential agricultural. We are looking to go to office and institutional with zoning conditions, and our future land use designation. We have 2, we're office and employment and commercial services. The proposed uses for this site, we're primarily looking to do a medical, dental, professional medical office, and then discussions with staff, because we do have that commercial services designation as well. They asked that we put some more personal services like neighborhood commercial uses in there, such as a pharmacy, a real estate sales office, health fitness center. So we agreed to do that. That does make sense for this area. But our intent is to do more of a medical dental professional office. So just to show you, and hopefully you can see this, I have a closer view for you all. The 2 parcels are highlighted in yellow. As I mentioned, we do front along Zeno Road, and we have Olive Chapel Road to our south. Of importance to the particular use that we're looking to do here, the Wake Med Apex Healthplex is right to our east, so we think that we're going to be a very compatible complementary use to the existing medical that is there today. Our current zoning, as I mentioned earlier, we are that residential agricultural, but around us there already is a good amount of office and institutional, so we are looking to rezone to that and be compatible with that other O&I that already exists. There is a single family to our rear, but we are not actually immediately adjacent to to that single family neighborhood. There is an intervening lot in between us and the single family. This is your 2045 land use map. This shows that we do have those 2 future land use designations of office employment and commercial services. And again, we think that the use that we're proposing and the additional uses requested by staff are very compatible with these land use designations. This is just a quick summary from your land use plan that describes those different designations. With respect to the proposed environmental advisory board zoning conditions that we're prepared to offer, and we have already submitted these as part of our resubmittal package, I kind of broke these down by topics. We do not have a site plan with this rezoning. So we tried to go through the list and figure out ones that we were 100% able to commit to today, knowing that there may be some opportunities in the future for us to look at these again once we have a site plan in place. But for purposes of this rezoning, we don't have a site plan. But with that being said, we did feel confident that we could meet the following goals that you all have set out as priorities with respect to stormwater and water conservation. We are going to have peak runoff and not exceed pre-development peak runoff for the 24-hour, 1-year, 10-year, and 25-year storm events. And as was mentioned earlier, the requirements are the 1-year and 10-year, and we're adding onto that the 25-year. Also, we are able to do at least one low-impact LID technique associated with this development. I was talking to Ryan earlier. We think it probably will have to do with stormwater retention. The site is not big enough to have an SEM. Most likely there will be under-building retention, so that's probably where that LID technique is going to come into play. But the specifics of that will be worked out with staff once we get to the site planning process. Moving on to planting and landscaping. Going on to goal 10 here, we do want to increase that biodiversity on site, so we're agreeing to do a minimum of 25% of the species shall be native to North Carolina. No invasive species are going to be permitted, and then also no single species of tree or shrub shall constitute more than 20% of the plant material of its type. Implementing green infrastructure, we are also going to plant only warm season grasses to reduce that irrigation during those warm months. Goal 15, we do have some RCA areas along the perimeter of this site, so we are going to be signing those and make sure that they're preserved. Moving on to the clean energy section of your proposed zoning conditions. Goal 20, in encouraging this clean transportation, we are going to be installing 2 parking spaces as EV charging stations within the development. And we also are going to be complying with the other EV charging station requirements that you all have listed out, making sure that they're not interfering with sidewalks or becoming trip hazards for people that are trying to utilize the pedestrian connectivity through the site. And then lighting efficiency, we are going to be using LEDs on site to make sure that we're having energy efficient lighting. And then also we're going to be reducing that foot candle off of buildings and parking decks to that 0.5 foot candles. So the last slide here is just a summary of the property and where we are with current zoning and proposed zoning. Again, we're looking to go to that O&I with zoning conditions, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And also, as I mentioned, Ryan Fisher's here, our civil, if you have questions for him as well. But thank you so much.
Shelley, quick question, Shelley. They would be subject to the new lighting standards based on where they...
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Are these going to be business condominiums, or how is the building going to be broken up, or is it just single ownership?
I believe it's going to be single ownership. Lee Perry, the developer from East West Partners, is here giving me the thumbs up. Single ownership. Yes, so not condominium.
Okay, are we up to recommendations at this point?
Well,
Or go ahead.
I can.
You go ahead first.
So could you talk about how you arrived with goal 10 at just 25% of native plants?
So part of the difficulty, again, is trying to figure out where this building is going to go. And based on location of building, stormwater, shade, we didn't want to overcommit, not knowing all of those components. But I didn't know if, Ryan, if you had any more information on, I know you were working with Bob Zumwalt on the RLA on coming up with the landscaping plan.
That's a little outside of my expertise there. A colleague of mine to help with the landscaping questions on that.
That was my understanding, is just.
What
Okay, so would the other 75% be like the adaptive plants, or?
It could be, again, not knowing plan, it's hard with shade, stormwater, drainage, all of those items to know exactly what kind of mix of plants we would be doing. But that was just my understanding.
Okay.
But we're if you all feel like you want to recommend something higher than that, we're happy to take a look at it. I just don't have my LA here, I apologize.
Higher, what are you guys thinking?
I go back again here to say that having a site plan is worth of, being something to see, then you can kind of tell what the applicant's trying to present. At this point right here, I can see where applicant's saying 25% because they don't know how everything's gonna fall out yet.
But the way I see it is there's a lot of shade shrubs out there. And I think that you could easily get up to maybe 50%.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking too. What do you all think?
I think 50%.
We would recommend 50%.
Okay, we'll definitely take that back. Thank you.
Do you see an opportunity to do any kind of like green building with the structure itself, like LEED certification or anything like that?
I will turn that over to the civil engineer to talk about. I'm not sure on that.
We'll certainly
This
look
is
at
Lee.
that. Sorry, again, we don't have any plans. We haven't done anything with the building design. We're just purely in zoning right now. So we've done LEED buildings before. We've actually done a LEED Platinum building before. So we'll look at all that, but it's all subject to ultimate building design costs, everything that typically would go into stuff that's involved much further into design. But yes, we will absolutely look at that. And I did want to clarify the question you asked earlier. The intent is for it to be one ownership. But we would reserve, if we could potentially condo it, but that's certainly not the plan for now. I just wanted to state that for the record. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All right. Is there,
I'd like to make the recommendation on solar for this, especially if it's going to be one ownership. And I'd like to see Goal 18A agreed to, and I'll read it. A solar PV system shall be incorporated into buildings to be constructed on the property. Such systems shall have a capacity of not less than 2 kilowatts per 1,000 square feet of heated area. If you have trouble with the condominium situation, that can be addressed later, I suppose, but that's kind of a minimum requirement, need. Apex has the very best net metering system in the state, and as a result, we have more solar here than any other town. So it's an economically beneficial thing to do on your buildings.
Thank you. We'll take it back and take a look.
Okay, but that's the recommendation.
Yes, understood. Thank you.
okay. So then is there a motion to approve these with the increase to 50% native plants and Mr. Jensen's solar condition?
I will so move.
Okay, Katie?
I second.
Okay, John second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Very much. Thank you.
Okay, next up, 1013 Olive Chapel Road, Tish Shapiro from Morningstar Law Group. I do want to mention that I have some of the residents adjacent to this property did contact me through my work, and I did respond to them, so I'm going to recuse myself from discussion and voting on this topic.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Letitia Shapiro. I am an attorney with Morningstar Law Group, and I'm here this evening on behalf of the applicant and owners. There are 4 individual owners of the property located at Olive Chapel Road. This is an aerial view of the property. Let's move on. So this is a rezoning of a 2-acre parcel that's rural residential to medium density residential conditional zoning that contemplates the development of 4 single-family homes, which is consistent with the medium density residential land use designation on the 2045 land use map. The owners plan to live in these homes that they build on these lots. The application was submitted on November 1st, and it included the first two environmental conditions that you see here. The first is a solar PV system shall be installed on 100% of the homes within the development. All solar installation required by this condition shall be completed or under construction prior to 90% of the building permits being issued for the development. The lots on which these homes are located shall be identified on the master subdivision plat, which may be amended from time to time. And two, all homes shall be pre-configured with conduit for an electric vehicle charging station. We did receive some comments back, and upon resubmittal, the applicants added two new environmental conditions that you see here, which are 3 and 4, and which are the development shall meet all stormwater reduction requirements listed in the UDO, including limiting the post-development stormwater flows to not exceed the pre-development rates. In addition, the post-development peak runoff rate shall be limited to the pre-development peak runoff rate for the 2-year 24-hour, the 10-year 24-hour, and the 25-year 24-hour storm events. And for the existing trees greater than 18 inches in diameter that are removed by site development shall be replaced by planting a 1.5-inch caliper native tree with the Town of Apex Design and Development Manual, either on site or at an alternative location approved by the town and planning staff above and beyond the standard UDO requirements. Right now, we have a basic we resubmitted and added these two new conditions. And again, these are for individual owners who are going to have plans on building their own homes and living there. And so if I have, these to offer, and of course, we're ready to hear any recommendations that the board might have.
What's the anticipated size of the homes?
Yes, they said somewhere between the 3 to 4,500 square foot range.
And then what's the anticipated solar PV system on each one?
They're not sure exactly, what they're going to put on there, but they know that they want to commit to 100% that all homes will have the PV system. And if there's a recommended type, that would definitely.
I'll leave that to you, but I think there should be some minimum laid out.
Yeah, there should be a minimum of, if it's 3,000 to 4,500 square foot, I would say a minimum of 6 kilowatts per system. That should be a minimum. Most are in those home sizes right now are looking at 10 kilowatts or so. So the efficiency of the panels has gotten to the point where you can put that size in with these. The other aspect of this is you noted she'll be configured for charging stations in the garage. I would recommend that you put in a 220-volt outlet in the garage.
Okay.
So that you can, if the conduit's there, that doesn't really do it. You really need to have the outlet, and it's extremely cheap to do. Developers are willing to do that all the time now.
Okay.
The neighborhood meetings that y'all held, some of the neighbors seemed to be concerned about drainage issues.
They did. I'm just going to kind of go to this is the topo map, and so there is a natural slope to the south, and there are some there is a drain in here, but there are some standing water issues, and the contemplated plan includes an SCM where they will be able to go and tap into a private drainage system that will sort of kind of help move with the natural flow of the environment and be able to hopefully ease that situation.
And stormwater staff will take care of that during plan review as well, make sure the UDO is met and the neighbors are protected.
Has there been any thought of putting in permeable driveways versus impermeable concrete driveways?
I don't believe that they've had that thought, but I'll definitely take that back to them. Yeah. Just permeable pavement type?
Yeah, permeable pavement or pavers, something that allows the water to seep into the ground.
Yep.
Jason, just to clarify, are you adding that as a recommendation?
Yeah. Since there's particular, water issues in the area, it might be good to have natural permeable.
Yeah. the permeable pavement, it depends on the soils in the area as well, so it's hard to blanketly, require that or ask for that. It just depends on the site. Potentially pavers, like Shelley was saying.
The one, I'm sure you've all seen them, but the ones that have the hole in the middle, Jason.
I don't know what they're called, but I know what
you're talking about.
The ones that have diamonds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got holes in the middle so that grass grows in them. That's all I
Perfect.
remember.
Perfect.
There is a name and I don't remember it right now, but I'll make a note to find that out and send it to JP when he does the minutes.
Thank you.
I'd also like to ask that you only select and plant warm season grasses.
Okay.
The less water we have to use, the better.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, so to clarify, we have these plus the recommendation of a 6 kilowatt solar on each home?
Each home.
Okay.
Per home.
Minimum per home, thank you. A 220 outlet in the garage, permeable pavers or concrete if practicable,
Yes.
okay? And plant warm season grasses.
So, I mean, for that permeable pavers on concrete, is that recommended for any concrete, or is it?
I was just going for the driveways for it would be expensive to do it for the roads themselves. It would
Yeah,
be
that's what
wonderful to do it for the
Yeah.
roads, but I don't think it's.
It would be just from the right.
It's a hard ask.
From the right of way back to the home. It wouldn't be inside the right of way.
Right.
Sounds like.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, I just was.
Thank you for clarifying. Okay, so is there a motion for the ones they listed and the ones we have added?
I'll put a motion in.
Okay.
I'll second
Ethan,
it.
Sean, okay, I'm abstaining, but all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. New business. Welcome, Ashley.
Hello, everyone. So excited to be here with you guys tonight. I know I've corresponded with you guys back and forth, some of you, but I wanted to formally introduce myself. My name is Ashley Gentry. I am the Deputy Town Clerk. I have been with the town for a year now, officially next week. So, yay. So since coming on board a year ago, Town Clerk Alan Coleman and I have been working on streamlining and onboarding the appointment term process. So, and this is part of the new process going forward, what we are doing here tonight. I have presented this new process to a few other boards like Public Art Committee. I know Alan has presented to the Parks, Rec, and Cultural Resources Advisory Board and the Housing Advisory Board. And their feedback was great, so they enjoyed it. As the clerk serves as your administrative support and we coordinate any logistics, I do encourage any feedback you might have during this process. Okay, so we're going to get started with item number 1. This is the meeting schedule for calendar year 2024. Okay, so you should have that at your desk or at your place. So the Environmental Advisory Board meetings are held on the third Thursday of each month, beginning at 6 p.m. at Town Hall, unless otherwise noted. I say that because you'll notice there's asterisks by November 14th and November 12th, okay? So the meeting for November 12th, I'm sorry. 14th, yes. So the meeting for November 21st, which was the third Thursday, it was moved up to the 14th. And this was not to interfere with the regular council meeting that is on November 21st. So we moved it up to the Environmental Advisory Board meeting to November 14th. And then we have the meeting for December 12th was moved to avoid any complications for holiday travel plans, et cetera. So, and I do want to note, in December 2023 was the second year with no quorum, which we also recommend moving up the week prior, so to help with that as well. So let's see. So yeah. So next is all meetings. So all meetings are now conducted in person and are open to all members of the public. Public live stream. There is a public live stream of each meeting, which is also available on the town's YouTube of each meeting. And last to note, all EAB agendas, Environmental Advisory Board agendas, are available on the town's website Wednesday prior to each meeting. Okay. Before we take a motion, are there any questions?
Thank you so much for adjusting November and December.
You're very welcome. So that was great. Okay. Thank you for that. All right. So if everyone is in consensus with the schedule to be adopted for calendar year 2024, can I get a motion to adopt?
Motion to approve?
I move that the
John?
calendar be set.
I will second.
80 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Great.
It's not so bad. Okay, next item is the election of chair and vice chair. So if there are more than one nominations tonight, we will vote by official ballot. Okay, so the election of chair and vice chair will be voted again by official ballot if there are more than one nominations. So first we will start with the chair position. So
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Since there are people that are up for
Yeah.
renomination, like how does that
She's
work in the
right.
context of chair and vice chair election?
She's right. We should seat the board first before we
Well, we
elect
can't seat
chair
the
and
board.
vice chair.
We can seat a recommendation to the,
Okay, but I think
Mayor.
she's gonna tell us we can seat the board,
So
right? Am I wrong about that?
the order doesn't matter.
Well, it sort of does, right? Because I'd like to nominate Suzanne to be chair, and she's up
She's up for
to be reappointed.
So if I don't get reappointed, then what happens? I guess is the
we
That
have
makes
to come
sense?
back.
conundrum.
Now that makes sense.
Now we have to come back and do another one next meeting, I guess.
Yes, yes. Okay.
We can switch the order.
Okay, so let's switch the order. Is that okay?
That's okay.
Okay, so let's switch the order. So now let's do the four positions, the four open positions. Okay, so there are 4 3-year term positions that expire December of 2023. One of the 3-year positions expire March of 2024. This was with further research, Pastor Adams' membership is set to expire March of 24. The town's website indicated December of 2023. And so I would like to include this recommendation to be consistent with the other seats. So his seat technically expires March of 2024, but we're going to include him in this recommendation of the 4 positions. Okay. So if you'll take a look at the applicants at a glance, which you have, there are 4 applicants who are eligible for reappointment. All are in agreement to be reappointed, except I have not heard from Greg Reger. I have not heard a response from him, written or verbally. So I just want to make that note to you as well.
Suzanne, have you heard from him?
I have not heard from him.
Okay. Moving on, we did receive 9 other applications who did apply within this past year, which are noted. Okay. I do want to touch on a little bit on the demographic information. We are hoping to expand this information a little bit with on the advisory boards, all across the advisory boards. This year, currently we do not collect any demographic information from our candidates, but I think it will be helpful in the future to consider new members on the board. So that is a part of our ongoing process as well. Okay. So, without further ado, so this is an action item that you all will need to vote on reappointing an existing member or appointing a new member. So before we do that, does anybody have any questions?
So do we do that as like one motion or one by one? Or?
It is your choice. So if you make a motion to reappoint all 4 current members, you can make that in one motion. Or if you want to make a motion to reappoint 2 current members and appoint 2 new members, you can do that. It's open to your preference.
Since we have not heard from Greg, is it possible to do like a contingency? So if he was not interested, then we would recommend, well, I don't know how we're going to vote, but potentially, let's say the situation arose where we did recommend all 4, but we haven't heard from Greg. Then could we do like a contingency, or like how would a situation like that work?
Are we limited to just 4 recommendations?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You can recommend however many people you want, but there's only 4 positions.
I understand how many positions there are, but I noticed that the planning, the Parks and Rec Board had more recommendations that were sent to the mayor than they had positions open. And I was wondering if that was an option here.
I'm not sure. Let me ask Alan. If you don't, it is? Yeah, okay, yeah.
So I'll just add a few things.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
So what you're doing is you're essentially offering a recommendation. So obviously this would have to go before the mayor for consideration as well as the town council to confirm it. So just to be clear that this process evolved from some board members not feeling like they were included in the decisions that were being made by the mayor and or council. So what we're doing is we're trying to involve boards so that they have a clear understanding of who's serving alongside them, who is leading their board, who would they prefer, and those kinds of things. It doesn't always mean that their nominations will proceed, but it certainly is a consideration that is offered. So I would actually recommend that you nominate more than the seats that are there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Alan.
How many seats are there?
There are 4
Total?
seats.
Well, there's 4.
4 total.
Four
So you can nominate more than 4.
What happens if we nominate all 4 of these and then Greg doesn't want to do it? He can just back out
I
after.
think he was saying that we should just nominate more than 4.
I would recommend we nominate more than 4.
Okay, yeah.
And then if he bows
In
out,
case he backs out.
Right.
You could do 5.
Makes sense.
You could do 5.
Or 6.
Or if we went,
And then
Or 8.
we could do 8, right? Yeah, I want this board to be the best possible board.
And
there
I
is, so.
tell you, I'm glad I'm not up for reappointment because some of these folks look decent. No offense to the current members,
it was
but
really.
If we nominate 8, then the mayor makes the decision on who the people that fill the seats?
Yes.
right, yeah, he makes a decision and puts it to the council.
So this is a recommendation that will be taken to the mayor, and then the council will get the final vote.
So we want to make sure that's clear. So recommendations come from the committee, they go to the mayor for consideration and review, right? And so for committee appointments, The final decision rests with council.
Okay.
So
But
the
if
mayor
we
will-
make Suzanne the chair, you'll put her on the board, right?
Wait. The chair is different.
Right, but I'm saying, like, it's a two-step process we're engaged in today, right?
Right.
So I'm just confirming.
Well, to be clear, chair and vice chair, it's a different process than committee appointment. So chair and vice chair, the mayor has the authority to make that appointment and council confirms it. Whereas committee appointments, the mayor makes a recommendation, but council makes the final decision.
Does he have the authority to make the appointment even if she's not on the board?
Well, no, if she's not appointed to the board, then
That's so just you'll work with us here, right?
I actually didn't even know that the boards didn't name their own chair and vice chair, so I didn't understand the process. I guess I haven't paid attention enough to that.
Okay.
So I would start with the 4 seats.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
Okay, so let's talk about how we want to proceed. Do we want to do all 4? And then in the next step, we can add on additional, would that work? Would that be-
Sure.
So
And these are solely recommendations.
these are recommendations,
So,
correct?
you
Okay.
can-
So is there a recommendation to reappoint the current active members? Patrick, myself, Greg, potentially, and Katie.
I'll make that a motion.
Okay,
Second.
second, so Bill, second with Sean, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right. Step 1, okay. Step 2, let's talk about how many additional folks of the 9 that we would like to send up. Like to recommend.
And you all can discuss what they've submitted. I mean, none of that's private, so to speak. I mean, you can discuss
You know,
it.
whoever it is, the more you recommend, the less useful the recommendations are.
Correct.
I'll just say it that way.
Yeah,
Think
I
about it.
understand.
I'm not saying you to vote for, but just think about, like, it becomes kind of washed out. You get a lot.
I follow you.
How many can be on the board though? Like, so the
9.
mayor can choose, what's that?
I think there's 9.
9
9
total.
members, but there's only 4 who can be added to the board at this point.
So we're essentially asking for all 4 that we just did. And then any other ones, then the mayor has to choose between them and say, well, we're gonna kick this guy off and put this guy on. Cause that's what we'd be doing, we'd be displacing somebody.
Potentially, but we're uncertain about the status about Greg, but that could end up as a result.
Okay.
Yeah, we recommend this person, Greg says yes, and the mayor says, well, I'm gonna put this other person on.
Does the mayor like you? No, I'm just I'm kidding, that's all right, that's what
I want
that's
this
what
to
I'm
be the
getting
best
at, though,
board, so
yeah.
if he has a different vision, then I will respect that, and obviously we are all serving at his pleasure, so.
Yep. I mean, there's several individuals who appear to have good environmental qualifications.
Well, yeah, I agree. So,
Speaking to Suzanne's idea of a contingency plan, I would like to suggest we support Najeri Moeller.
Is that a motion?
Let's discuss it first. See if it's a motion.
Najeri was one of the people that I too identified as, if I had to choose, a handful, they were one of the ones that I would choose.
I think Marcy Longo looks interesting also.
Yeah, I agree with that.
She has a
Marcy
Master of
was
Science in
also-
Environmental Management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't get much better than that. It's on page,
Daniel Elias has got LEED and CEM certifications and stuff. I mean, that's why, I mean, I think there's some good candidates out there if we need to replace somebody here.
Can I ask this, are any of you all, does anybody live in the ETJ?
I don't even know what ETJ means.
Extraterritorial.
Outside of the city limits, but
There you go.
still, under Apex Town.
I grew up in one, yes. I don't live in one anymore.
Okay, yeah, Kathy Deely caught my attention because she listed that she lived in the ETJ, which I didn't think we had anybody who did. We were all within town limits, so that she might bring a different perspective.
If you live in the ETJ, you can't vote in local elections, right? So I feel like that's a little tricky.
So the UDO,
Okay, okay.
so the UDO
Okay.
states for the EAB board that the membership shall be restricted to residents and citizens of the town, except one member may be a resident of the town's ETJ.
Okay.
And that's
Thank you.
consistent with the planning board.
It is consistent with the planning board.
I thought planning board was more than a may, I thought it was a must. Is it not?
Must have an ETJ.
Yeah, yeah.
Is must here too?
It's may.
May.
Okay.
Consistent with the fact that they have one.
That one was Kathy Deely.
Yeah. Can we do like an iterative voting? Can we set a target number and then come to a consensus on that number? Is that an acceptable procedure?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Well, Alan, we just had this happen in town council. There was a ballot way we used. Maybe you're not voting against anybody that way. You may want to consider a ballot if you have multiple people that you're trying to pick and narrow down.
Right.
I see, and
You
then,
can explain more about, because you guys know that better than I do about the process.
Yeah, so for like chair and vice chair, we do have a ballot system, and it actually would work for this type of system as well. So you would just put a handful of names in your selection, and then you have to choose one, and then I would take it up and read off the names and see if what the vote was. But in the event of a tie, you would redo it again, and you would keep doing that process until you come up with someone that you agree on.
So if you want to offer, what I would say is if you want to offer some names for nomination, and then we'll take a vote that way. So that way, I've heard
Okay.
of like 3 names offered. So
Great.
everybody write down their name on their pad that's in front of them, sign it, say that's their alternate person that they want to be considered, and then we'll take them up.
okay, and
If
then,
everybody's in agreement with that.
Say that one more time, please.
So we've got several names that have been mentioned. So the floor will be open for nominations. And this is for if the 4 people, Greg didn't want to serve, et cetera, we would go based on the nominations. So the nominations would be from any of the new applicants. So if we get 2 nominations, then you'll write down between those 2 names, who is your preferred candidate. We get 3 names, you write down the one name that you prefer of the 3.
okay.
Okay.
So, wait, so our consensus is we are going to recommend how many people?
Well, we haven't heard anybody
Yeah.
nominate
Yeah,
anybody.
yeah.
Okay.
So it may be only one person.
Yeah, I'm assuming of the 4 that are on the board or have been on the board previously, we know 3 that continue want to be on the board, right?
So that's
Okay.
separate. So that's already been done.
Right.
Right,
So this would be
We're
like-
questioning one of them because we haven't
Correct.
heard from him, so
Right.
it might be good that we at least do one.
One.
Yeah.
Okay, so in agreement, we're gonna try and come down to one person,
But if we only have one, then we don't need to do a ballot.
right?
So the only
we're
time we
taking-
need to do a ballot is
Well,
if
if
we
we're
have
only,
more than
if
one
we're only picking one, we still have to do a ballot if we've got more than one.
nomination.
Nomination.
Yeah.
Make the nominations and then we'll vote.
Right, right.
Great.
Okay. So
I will move to nominate Jerry Moeller.
Perfect.
I will I will nominate Daniel Elias.
I'd like to nominate Marcy Longo.
Go with any of these.
And I would like to nominate Kathy Deely.
Okay. So between those four, has anybody else got a nomination?
Oh, you guys got them, so.
Okay, so now on your pad, if you'll write down between those four
Four.
names, Ashley will repeat them.
Okay, so it's Jerry Moeller, Marcy Longo, Daniel Elias, and Kathy Deely.
So write your name on your pad.
But
that you
choose one.
selected, but then write your name
Yeah.
and sign it.
So you're going to choose one who you prefer as the additional contingency person out of those four, and sign and print and sign your name. Alan will pick them up. Thanks. It's kind of fun.
Seeing all the applicants.
This is the fun part.
Yeah, it's fun. You want to sign your name?
This is secret ballot. They all look good.
And just so you know, ballots are read aloud. Who you picked. So you don't, I just say that. Okay. So we have one vote for Daniel Elias. Nobody signed that one? One nomination for Marcy Longo by Jason Maynard. Suzanne Mason nominated Marcy Longo. Sean Crowell nominated Daniel Elias.
Sorry, yeah.
Mr. Bill Jensen nominated Margie Longo. That's 3. Katie Schaff nominated Najiri Moeller. And John Garrison nominated Daniel Elias. And we have a tie. So in the event of a tie, we go again.
So now it's down to the two.
So now, yep, the 2.
It's Marcy and Dan.
So it's Marcy Longo and Daniel Elias.
If you'll write your name on your ballot, sign, and I will pick up.
I was just reviewing.
Kind of pressed.
I'm gonna spell it right.
I'm not real comfortable doing it. You sure?
Actually, I'm not 100%, but
On the meeting.
Give me some.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, drum roll. Patrick Adams nominated Daniel Elias. Jason Maynard nominated Marcy Longo. We have one nomination for Daniel Elias. It doesn't say.
that was me, sorry.
Oh, Sean.
I spelled the name right, but I didn't put mine.
Katie Schaff nominated Marcy Longo. Bill Jensen nominated Marcy Longo. Suzanne Mason, nominated Marcy Longo. And John Garrison, nominated Daniel Elias. So that's 4-3. So Marcy Longo, it is. Okay.
Okay. So then do we need a motion to recommend Marcy Longo as our?
We don't, you don't.
We've got the ballot.
Okay.
So we need Sean to sign yes. You kept round one separate from round two.
Uh-huh. Dang it. Dang it.
Okay, and then I would like to move to nominate Suzanne as chair and John as vice chair. So we can go one at a time.
Well,
Well, no, you can do that.
Oh, we can do it together?
does anybody else have an interest in being chair and or vice chair?
Do you want to give up the job or no?
No, I just want to make sure everybody,
Yeah. She's doing her
if somebody has an interest to give it a shot. Oh, discussion?
Was that a motion?
I said
It was a motion.
And I seconded. I think somebody already did though.
I'll second it if it hasn't been seconded.
Can we abstain?
I don't know if we get to.
I think someone else should call the vote, right? Because you guys should
Yeah.
abstain. Great.
Am I on there? Okay.
You got a motion and a second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I'm sorry.
Okay, so the motion
Motion
is,
and second. So the motion is to recommend reappointment of Suzanne Mason as
Oh,
chair.
okay.
John Garrison as vice chair. Got a motion and second.
And closed nominations maybe, right?
Well, right.
Wait.
But it sounds like you want to go ahead. That's the only nomination.
Is that
Correct.
right?
There's somebody else.
Right, so we don't need to do ballots. We've got one nomination for chair and vice chair. There's nobody else to vote on. Any discussion?
Aye.
Discussion, not. All right, no discussion, go to a vote.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
thank you
Thanks.
for your vote of confidence.
Painless. All right. And that is it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ashley. That was.
Thanks. It's really nice to meet you in person.
Thank you. You too. You too.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
We have an open discussion item from Mr. Jensen.
Yeah, and I've lost my paper.
That's right.
I'd like to ask the board to consider requesting the town council to consider adding a small ad on our utility bill to promote solar energy. It's been done before when they had Solarize Apex. And what I would recommend is it would not have any recommendation of any business or anything like that. It simply says, and I wish I had not lost it, it's amongst all this paper. It would simply say that save energy by adding a solar photovoltaic system, save money on your electric bill by adding a solar PV system to your home. And then it recommends to go to the town website to look at additional information that we have on our website. And that's all it would do. And it would run in a small corner of the utility bill like it had before.
And is that along the lines of what the previous one said, just?
It's similar to it. Give me a minute and I'll see if I can dig through my papers. I got too many papers.
Is there anything we need to know about sort of how those things get added to the utility bill or cost of doing that?
It's on the existing paper. It's not another sheet of paper that's.
It'll just replace one of the other little ads that's already there.
It wouldn't replace an ad. There's no ad down in the corner. Now, let me,
Okay. I know what you mean. The bill has some.
yeah.
There's a white space.
Okay, now that I
Okay.
found this. The old ad was a little ad in the corner, and I can pass this down. Save with solar, learn how to save with solar, and find the right system for you at solarize.org. A community partner, Solarize the Triangle. That's what was on there. The one that I was looking at is as a possibility. Reduce your cost of electricity by adding a solar photovoltaic system to your home. Go to apexnc.org/1345/solar to learn more about solar energy. And I can pass this down if anybody wants to look at it.
Now, the residents have gone paperless. Would we have it also on the pay the utility bill online?
I still get a bill though. I get like that. We pay online. We automatically pay.
Just go online and
Mine's automatic.
Yeah, same, so I don't.
You still get a paper bill.
do.
Yeah, that's what I got as a paper bill.
yeah, you can opt
But maybe you can opt out.
to not have a paper bill.
I didn't know you could opt out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd opt out if I could.
Are you suggesting that this be a monthly occurrence or a one-time, or?
I'd like to see it on the bill as a monthly occurrence unless there is something else that needs to go in that spot. That's what I've requested before with the council, is just, if there's nothing else going there, put it in. If there's something going in there, take it out.
I'm just afraid after a while, people are gonna start. That'll just be background stuff. I'm thinking maybe twice a year, would be good.
We have the other part there. There's another blurb there. If you look at the bill that says, if you can't pay your bill, it goes to that also. So
I don't have real strong feelings either way. I'm just thinking that if you see that every month, it's gonna go away. The only thing I look at now is what that total is.
I'm sure that's true for lots of people, but I think also there's some people that will notice it, right? And maybe having it monthly, the time when they finally feel motivated to go look at the website, they'll go look.
Is there
or
anything else?
if they happen to have a large bill one month.
Right,
Right.
right.
Is there anything else that could be put on there where it cycles every other month, like any other?
We could do it every other month if you wanted to. I'd hate to go just once or twice.
You know, I'm saying, is there like another idea?
Like an.
Save water,
Yeah,
could
we
you-
could do that too, and actually last thing I saw was go to Apex and see to look at how we're doing at the waste facility. And that ran for 3 months in a row.
There's also your water quality, right? I see the
It was water
pamphlet
quality,
downstairs,
yeah.
it shows you go here to see the water sampling data from.
And that's where I looked at it to say, okay, put the solar in there, and then if something like the water quality thing comes up, that goes into place. It's second.
The
it's
solar
second
would
to
be a
anything else.
default, but if they had something else come up, then.
Exactly, it's a default ad.
How difficult is that? Do you all have any idea?
have any idea.
That's the question. I'm sorry, please say again.
How difficult it would be to?
It's set up with communications and utility billing, and we thought about doing one for the summer for heat island effect stuff. And it's, from what I understand, it's not difficult at all.
Okay.
As long as there's not something already scheduled for that slot that month, it's not a problem.
Okay. And the website that people will be pointed to, do you know if that's being maintained and everything's accurate and up to date?
I don't know which website they would be pointed to exactly. I have not personally reviewed this, but we can check. Unfortunately, my computer just decided to quit on me, so I cannot personally check at the moment.
Bill made a recommendation for it to go to the Apex solar page.
I think that's the same page that we've had up for a while, but I don't think the information is out of date. I think it's just that it's got the town's policies and the permitting process for it and things like that. It's that page is, it's not out of date. It will be updated if we have anything that needs to be changed, but there's not it's got how-tos and that kind of thing on it.
Okay.
And I would leave that to town staff to work out that detail. I put it in there because I went to that and it had a listing of the steps you go through to get your solar. It doesn't recommend any companies, of course, or anything like that. It just enlightens people a bit.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to make sure it was actually, like in somebody's job description to at least touch that page periodically in case things do go out of date.
If I were to make a suggestion is, instead of having that green border around it, put a yellow sun or something like that, something that is different. That way it draws the eye there. I mean, I don't know whether it can be actually done, but that's what I would suggest.
I agree with you. I put this together just as a suggestion, and I think what you're saying is a really good idea.
And particularly if we start rotating it, if it's like solar 1 month and then, water savings the next month, you could put a little water stain around it or something, just something to make it look different every single time you look at the bill.
That's a good idea.
I think that the solar page was last updated in January of 2022. So
It was, it doesn't change that often just because right.
No.
Right, and there's actually been
Storms,
if I remember right, there was a concerted effort to put information on there that didn't have to have like dates and things updated regularly so that it stays current, but it's also not a lot of extra work for the staff members who have to do it.
Okay, so is the board, can we do sort of a motion of support for this idea? And then we can figure out next steps, Mr.
I will
Jensen?
so move to support the idea. I really like it.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a second to support it?
Second it.
Jason, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and so this would be sort of the recommendation is sort of a default for the solar, but if there's something else, that will go in place and then the solar will come back with the sunshine or other appropriate borders. Okay,
I like
great,
it. That's
awesome.
You never know when
Another open discussion item that John has brought up, I was wondering if Alan, previously there was some discussion about the organization of the boards and bringing in EAB and TCAP. Would it be possible to give an update on that?
So we, just to refresh everyone's memory, we've been having conversations with staff to try to figure out what is the recommendation and pathway going forward as it relates to EAB, Tree Cap, and B-City. As you may know, we have a Tree Cap certification program, which is where the Tree Cap committee evolved from. And then we also have a B-City certification that's through our electric department. It's not just like be a great city. So just making sure people understand that because we do get a lot of questions about that. And so those functions and certification programs are where those committees kind of came from, but they all kind of have environmental components. And so figuring out, do we really need 3 environmental related advisory committees, boards, et cetera. So the conversation then went to, if we decide to collapse them, what does the makeup look like? And so that's an ongoing conversation right now with staff and trying to present a plan back to the Rules Committee. The Rules Committee meets later in February, mid-February. There will be some discussion there. Once we have that plan, the hope is that we'll get some direction from the Rules Committee, and then we'll come back to EAB and get your feedback on what's being proposed. Obviously, if there is a board structure change, this would require a council motion to amend the ordinance. So obviously, we want to make sure that we're including everybody every step of the way. So we would include you and your feedback, get the Rules Committee and their feedback, and then go back to council. But that is what's being proposed eventually, is to kind of try to consolidate some of these advisory boards that are very related.
So I don't know if this is an appropriate time to make this comment about that, but with the level of interest that we saw, I mean, we had 9 people who were interested in it. Wouldn't that sort of be taking away sort of opportunities if you collapsed it down and potentially had less people involved?
Sure. So just to give some background, you're the only board of those 3 that meets monthly. So B City has not met in probably 6 months or more because they only meet for the purpose of the certification program and then they don't meet again. So that's just a thought to consider. TreeCap has been meeting more regularly recently, but prior to that, I mean, they took a 6-month kind of break in service. And so because they were set up to support and hear the certification application process. So I would just offer that. I would also say that there's nothing that prevents the council from expanding the board. You know, you could go up to 12 or even 14, 15 seats. Then you get a question of how productive are you? Because then you've got lots of discussion, lots of recommendations. How efficient are you being with your meetings? So I would just offer that as well. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. And just before we adjourn, I was thinking that maybe next meeting, I would recommend that the board start discussing Earth Day and Peak Fest and potentially getting a subcommittee together, perhaps 1, 2 people, 2, 3 people, to talk to Lisa, the special events coordinator with the town, and then maybe Wake County Solid Waste, and then we need a proposal to spend our budget on, an inventory of leftover items, and then, you know, all the details that go along with doing Earth Day and Peak Fest. So I would recommend that be talked about next meeting.
Sounds good.
Roger that.
Yep.
Okay. All right, does anybody else have any other discussion items? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I will so move.
All right, Katie?
Second.
Jason? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.